Hi everyone. I'm using a throwaway account. I don't want any of this on my main account, so I'll begin by introducing myself and my family. I'm a 38-year-old woman with two kids, a 7-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. I've been married for the past 14 years and have been with my husband for almost 16 years now. We met at work. We were interning at the same company and we started out at the same time. In the beginning, everything was going well, and even until recently, things have been wonderful. We've had a happy marriage for the most part. Of course, there have been a few ups and downs, but every relationship has those. Nothing out of the ordinary has happened. But for the past couple of years, things have been going consistently downhill for us. 3 years ago, my husband unfortunately lost his father to a brain aneurysm. It was very sudden and shocking, and naturally it was a very tragic loss for the family. So my husband was quite upset, and so was I, because I was close to my father-in-law. However, I think I've been respectful enough of his feelings, and I've also been respectful of my mother-in-law, Sharon's feelings, even though they haven't exactly been very considerate of me. A couple of months after my father-in-law's passing, my husband decided that it would be better for Sharon to move in with us because she was completely alone, and I agreed. I was totally fine with that. Besides, the woman was in mourning and I didn't think it would be too much trouble. Even though in the past Sharon and I haven't exactly gotten along well. But I was wrong, because after she moved in, even though she was grieving, she made it a point to be as troublesome as possible. She meddled in everything. She didn't like anything that I did, and always acted like nothing I could ever do would be good enough for her. Or at least that's how she made it seem. And she especially hated the fact that I didn't just do all the work around the household and handle the kids on my own. This was non-negotiable for me and my husband, because I'm a working woman and the home and the kids belong to both of us. So both of us are equally responsible for all of this. We split the household chores and the work related to the kids. I think it's fair enough, but my mother-in-law was never happy about that. She thought that I was delegating my work to him, which never made any sense to me, and I thought it was a pretty bizarre and old-fashioned outlook to have. Anyway, she lived with us for almost a year or so, and things only got consistently worse. So at one point, even though I respected the fact that my husband wanted to be there for his mother and take care of her after his father's passing, I just couldn't deal with her behavior anymore. So I spoke to him about it. And we did get into a bit of a fight over it, but eventually he spoke to his uncle and Sharon moved in with her brother's family. She probably figured out that this was happening because of me, and since then, she's been even worse with me. To be honest, I think even if I hadn't said anything to my husband, she still would have blamed me for this kind of thing, because even though she disliked me before my father-in-law passed away, at least she made an attempt to cover it up and behaved normally around me. But after his passing, she's been openly mean to me, and nobody even takes note of it or seems to care about it anymore because, well, she lost her husband, so they don't think that they can say anything to her. Anyway, the problem with Sharon moving in with her brother was that he lives quite a considerable distance away. So she decided that instead of living with us, she was going to come over and stay with us every alternate weekend so that she could get some time with her son and the grandkids. And even on these weekends, she would make it a point to be as troublesome for me as possible. But at least she was not staying with us full time. So I would just wait out the weekends and try not to lose my mind. That's how it's been for the past couple of years. No matter how much I complain to my husband about his mom's behavior, I'm just expected to deal with it. Literally every other aspect of our marriage is fine apart from this one. Because for whatever reason, after his mother's passing, his mom has become 10 times worse with me. And he acts like he doesn't even notice. And even if he does, he thinks it's completely fine for his mom to treat me like this. We've had a lot of fights over this, and I've been at my wits' end about what to do here. Even recently, we had a fight, and it was around the time of our marriage anniversary. Due to some unfortunate coincidence, our anniversary happened to be on the weekend. And a couple of days before that, I decided to try and make things right with my husband and proposed that we plan a weekend getaway with just the two of us for our anniversary. And maybe that would give us a chance to work out all the trouble that we had been having in our marriage. I thought that it was high time, and I thought that he would be open to this idea because even though we had been fighting, I was the one who came up with this plan, and I was quite excited about it because I thought he was going to say yes. But unfortunately, when I spoke to him about this, he told me that he had forgotten all about our anniversary and he had already promised Sharon that he was going to take her out for a spa day. Because apparently she had been feeling very stressed out about a lot of things. He didn't tell me what things, but I'm only assuming that she had complained about me, about how I raised my children. You know, the usual. I tried to tell him that he could take his mom out for the spa day the next weekend as well, and he could spend our anniversary weekend with me, which is how it should be. And I don't even understand why I was trying to convince him, something he should have readily agreed to. But anyway, he declined. He said that he had already made a promise to his mother, and then when he started to realize that I was going to insist on this, he cut me off and told me that he was perfectly fine with spending the day with Sharon. And after more than a decade of being married, such things are not that important anymore, and I should not stress out over it. So that was the end of the discussion. And I felt really heartbroken because I could clearly see where his priorities were. He could see that I was upset, but he didn't even try making it up to me. And the next day, he left for work as usual, and I had to take a day off because I was so depressed. I spoke to my parents about it. I spoke to my friends about it as well, and all of them said the same thing. But this was not normal. And that I should talk it out with him because he was clearly hurting me, and he didn't seem to care about it either. So when he came back from work that day, I tried to talk to him about it, but he said that he was too exhausted after work and brushed it off, and we got into another big fight because I could see that he just didn't care about my feelings anymore. And this time, the fight just got worse. And all the issues that I had been suppressing just bubbled out of me. It was pretty bad, and he ended up packing some stuff and going away, saying that he would only come back when I stopped acting so hysterical and crazy. And he even accused me of being jealous of his mom, even though she was the one who had lost her husband. I think that was the tipping point for me. That night, I was really upset and I just cried myself to sleep. And my children tried to comfort me, but I obviously couldn't tell them everything that had happened, even though they had overheard most of the fight. All of us were pretty upset, and the next morning I decided that I was done crying. There was still 2 days to go for the weekend, so that day I packed everything that my children and I would need for 2 weeks and planned an impromptu trip to Europe. I had always wanted to do that, but it had been something that I was waiting for my husband to sign off on, so we could all go as a family. There was always something holding us back. The kids at school, he had important meetings at work, or maybe I did. Just something or the other prevented us from going, but I figured that there was no perfect time to do something like this. The kids had their summer break, and I frankly couldn't care less about my work at that point in time. So I just paid for the flight tickets for the 3 of us and made all the reservations, and on the morning of my anniversary, we were off. Nobody knew about it apart from a couple of friends and my parents. And by the time we landed, a significant chunk of time had already passed, so my phone was flooded with messages and missed calls from my husband. Within a couple of hours, I started receiving calls from Sharon as well, but I was ignoring all of them. However, after a while, I decided that there was no point running away from any of this, so I decided to accept one of the phone calls after I had checked into the hotel and was comfortable enough to talk. As soon as I picked up the phone, Sharon started screaming at me, telling me that she and her son had spoken to my parents and they knew that I was in Europe with my children, and she was accusing me of kidnapping them, as if that's a possibility when I'm their mother. I let her run out of steam and make all of her accusations, call me names, and only after she was done, I told her that since my husband had chosen to spend our anniversary with her, I had to do something to take my mind off of it. And that's why I had chosen to take a vacation with my kids, because I was honestly done playing second fiddle to her in my husband's life. She laughed and she told me that I must be jealous of her. And I said that it's not about jealousy or insecurity. It's just about the fact that my husband clearly has lost sight of what is important. And I can't deal with that kind of behavior anymore. I was very calm because honestly, this is what I needed. I needed to relax a bit, and all those hours on the flight had given me some time to think. My marriage was clearly not heading in the right direction, and it was time to reevaluate everything, so I was pretty calm while talking to her, and I guess that infuriated her even more. She started demanding an explanation for what exactly I was planning on doing, and she told me she couldn't believe that I was fine with spending my marriage anniversary away from my husband while he was miserable. She told me that he had been crying ever since he found out what I was up to, and apparently he was inconsolable. Sharon made it very clear that she thought it was my fault, but I reminded her that I had asked him not just once but several times to spend the day with me, to be with me for the weekend, but he had refused because he wanted to take her out for the spa day. And he had even left the house after our fight without bothering to speak to me. After all of that, I really don't think that she has any right to hold me responsible because I had done my best. And if she and her son couldn't see that, then that was hardly my problem. I told her I deserved a break. And whatever was to be done about our marriage, I would think about it once I came back home. But until then, I wanted her and my husband to leave me alone so I could make the most of my time away from all of them and have a good time with my kids. Then I hung up, and that was it. This was 2 days back, and since then, my children and I have been having a great time. I've muted all notifications from my husband and Sharon, and I haven't even bothered checking them because I really don't care. But last evening, while I was talking to my mom, she told me that my husband seems really worried and he's shown up at their place twice already, begging them to call me so that he can speak to me because I'm ignoring him. They told me that he actually sounds very sorry about everything that he's done, and now I feel kind of guilty about ignoring him, but truth be told, I'm also still very upset because everything that happened in the past couple of weeks, and in fact everything that's been happening in the past few years after his father's passing, it's not been fair to me, and I really need this break. I mean it. I need to reevaluate our relationship, and I need a few days away from him. I think it's necessary. But I still feel like the bad guy for ignoring him while he's trying so hard to get through to me. He doesn't even know where I am, like which city I'm in specifically, so he can't even come looking for me unless he wants to throw away a bunch of his money on a hunch. Anyway, I just want to know if I should be feeling guilty about all of this or not. Am I the bad guy here, AITA, for not wanting to speak to my husband and take a break from my marriage right now? Update 1. Hey everybody, thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post and who let me know that I was not in the wrong, and just thank you so much. Literally everyone who took out the time to comment, regardless of what they said. I'm back from my vacation now. It's been 2 weeks since I left, and last evening I finally came back home. Technically, I didn't exactly go back home because I went to my parents' place with all my stuff, since I didn't feel ready to face my husband. And obviously, they welcomed me quite happily and filled me in on everything that had happened ever since I had left. After my last conversation with them, where they had told me that my husband had shown up at their place, begging them to call me up so he could talk to me and make things right, I had made my post here. And after going through all the comments and thinking things over on my own, I had decided that I really needed this break and I had to put my foot down. I had to draw some boundaries. I couldn't just constantly keep prioritizing everyone else and keep myself on the back burner. So I told my parents that the next time he shows up, they should tell him that right now I just need a break and explain to him that it's not just about him and our marriage. Of course, I want things to work out as much as he does, but right now, this is what's important for me, and he needs to respect it. If I have said that I need some space away, he needs to let me have that. I also told my parents not to tell me anything regarding him, so I can at least unwind during the vacation and not feel constantly stressed out. And that actually worked. Whatever happened after my phone call with them, they didn't bother me about it, and we kept everything light and breezy so I could take some time off from my life. I had a pretty fun time. We went sightseeing almost every day. We ate out at wonderful restaurants and made a lot of friends along the way, and I think I'm coming back feeling much more rejuvenated and refreshed. I feel like a new person altogether, and I feel like I'm finally ready to tackle everything that I had been running away from. So last evening, after I spoke to my parents, I learned that my parents had passed on the message to my husband, and even though he looked quite upset after he learned that I really did not intend on speaking to him during this time, he said that he would respect it and wait for me to come back so that we could sort things out. He also told my parents that he was really sorry for bothering them, and he was sorry for treating me like this because, after all, I was their daughter, and it couldn't have been easy for them to know that I was hurting so bad, and he didn't even seem to care. He acknowledged the fact that he had taken me for granted for a really long time now, and he had been prioritizing his mother because he knew that she was lonely after his dad passed away. But at the end of the day, it was not his duty to replace his father. It was very difficult for him to acknowledge all of that, and he broke down crying in front of my parents, which was quite shocking for me to learn about. But my parents handled the situation pretty well, and they were quite empathetic with him. After that, he hadn't shown up at their place, but he had kept in touch with them, and every time that he would call, he would politely ask whether they had any news from me, and when he was told that I was still away, he would thank them and hang up. That's the only communication they had had with him in the past couple of days, so my parents suggested that maybe I should talk to him because it really was about time that I sorted things out, and I agreed. So last night, even though it was pretty late, I decided to call him up and tell him that I wanted to speak to him. I didn't expect him to answer the call since it was pretty late, but he did. He picked up immediately, and he sounded genuinely happy to hear from me. He didn't even allow me to say anything in the beginning itself and just started apologizing, saying that he was really happy that I had called and that he wanted to see me as soon as possible. I was happy to hear from him too, because honestly, in spite of everything that's happened, I know I still love him and I really want to make things work. So I told him that I was back and I was willing to meet him the next day so we could talk things out and decide what we wanted to do. We didn't talk much on the phone, but we are going to meet soon, and I guess then we'll get an opportunity to really clear the air. And he'll also be able to see the kids after a pretty long time because I know that both he and the kids have missed each other. To be honest, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm really glad to be back home, and I'm also glad I decided to take some time off for myself, to put myself first and have this vacation. Of course, I would have been much happier if my husband had been there with me, but if everything works out, I guess we might get an opportunity soon. Update 2. Okay, so I'll try to put everything that my husband and I spoke about in this update, everything that's relevant anyway. We met today. And obviously, in the beginning, it was kind of awkward. But then he saw the kids and everything just melted away. After a lot of hugging and kissing and a general warm reunion, we sent the kids to their room to play so that we could talk. Of course, we were meeting at home because I think I had spent enough time away and I had to come back with the intention of talking things out. So I had no intention of going back away. Once the kids were in their rooms, we got down to business. Once again, he apologized for his behavior, and he told me that he had taken us for granted, and just because we had been together for so long, he had stopped thinking about me, and he was extremely sorry for it. He said that he was sorry that it took him so much to realize what our marriage meant to him. And he literally had tears in his eyes when he said that he did not want to lose this. He did not want to lose me. And he told me that he had spoken to his mom and sought things out with her as well, and told her that she needed to back off because a lot of these problems are being created because of her, since she had always insisted that she should be his priority now that his father isn't around anymore. But at the end of the day, he can't put his own family second all the time just to place her first. And he also told her that she needed to back off, that she couldn't treat me the way she did. And even though he had stayed silent for so long because he did not want to hurt her after his father's passing, he couldn't let her keep hurting me either. He told me that he was definitely at fault in this situation, but his mother also played a role, and he took accountability for both of them because he shouldn't have acted the way he did. And he's not using Sharon as an excuse, but at the end of the day, he wanted me to know that he was not going to abandon his mom, even though they're not on excellent terms right now. He said that he's going to be there for her whenever she needs him, but he's not going to put a second anymore. And I was completely fine with that. It was never my intention to ruin the relationship between him and his mom, but I just wanted him to prioritize me and the kids as well. So we talked it out. I told him that I had taken this time to reevaluate our relationship, and I was glad that he had decided to apologize, but I also felt like we needed some professional help to navigate this situation because things had gotten very complicated. And he told me that he was open to that as well, because even he had been thinking about it. So right now, we are thinking about talking to a marriage counselor, and we hope that things are going to work out well for us. Anyway, this is mostly what happened, and I'm very happy that I decided to work things out with him. After all, I've been with this man for the longest time. I have 2 kids with him, and most importantly, I really love him. So whatever has happened, we can't change that. But we can definitely strive to create a better future for both of us and for the kids. And that's what we're going to try to do now. Thank you so much to everybody who stayed in the loop. Thank you so much for all the advice and encouragement as well. Update 3. Hey guys, so it's been a couple of months since my previous update, and things have been going pretty well with my husband. We've been attending marriage counseling sessions regularly, and we have managed to sort out all the issues that we had been facing before. Of course, we still do end up bickering sometimes, but I think that's just part of relationships in general, especially ones that have lasted for so long. None of these fights are serious, and we try to resolve them pretty quickly instead of letting issues fester and build up. He's kept in touch with Sharon. I don't have a problem with that, but she and I don't talk anymore, and I'm very grateful for it because honestly, I'm done with her. Occasionally the kids go and visit her, but she doesn't come over, and I'm fine with that as well. Even when we meet at family gatherings, we don't even acknowledge each other. And I think that's the best way for us to deal with whatever's happened. She doesn't like me. I don't like her. We don't have to put up with each other. I know that a lot of people didn't like the fact that he still planned on staying in touch with her, but honestly, I think it's a good thing because I wouldn't want him to just abandon his mom like that. He's her only child. It wouldn't be fair to her. And truthfully speaking, as long as I don't have to deal with her, I'm fine with any arrangement. She was never a problem. It was my husband's behavior I didn't like. And he has apologized for it. He has made it up to me since. So I'm fine with whatever we have worked out for ourselves now. As for the kids, they do sometimes ask me why I don't speak to their grandmother anymore. But I don't think they're old enough to understand any of this. So I just keep it restricted to telling them that we don't get along. I don't think it's necessary for me to go into the details as long as she respects and observes the same rules. Anyway, what actually prompted this update was the fact that now that it's been a couple of months, my husband and I are thinking about planning another vacation. And in fact, we've already started thinking of where we want to go. I have decided to quit my job and I've started building my own business model because it has been a long time dream of mine. And I think I'm a much more confident person now. That trip, that vacation with my kids, really changed me as a person, and I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. My husband is also very supportive of the fact that I'm planning on starting my own business, and we have some savings, so I'm going to put that into it along with any investments that come my way. My parents and a couple of my friends, and of course my husband, everyone's interested in putting their money on me, and I know that I'm not going to let them down. It's a very exciting opportunity, so this plan of having a family vacation before I really get busy with my new business is the perfect idea. A couple of months ago, I never would have imagined being this happy, but now I am. And I'm very grateful that I decided to give my marriage a chance. Because at the end of the day, we love each other, and both of us wanted to make it work. And that's why everything's better now. So I know I made the right choice. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.